Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. This is the Miami Heat post-game show. The Miami Heat defeated the 76ers 106-89, and I want to break down that victory today. The Miami Heat rallied back in an epic comeback to win a much-needed win at home, where the Miami Heat had the fewest victories at home compared to any other team in the East. The Miami Heat were 1-3 at home, which is just not good enough. But Jimmy Butler came back, returned from the Miami Heat after missing 3 to 4 games with an ankle injury, and he was huge and amazing. So let's get into the game. So as the game was unfolding, the Miami Heat found themselves in an early hole. They were down by 19 points in the second quarter. Wasn't looking good for the Heat. They have the Sixers have Maxey out, and Joel Embid has only played 3 games this season. I think that was the third game of his season, and so he looked really gimpy, and he didn't look really engaged, and he didn't look like himself. He didn't get to the free throw line, and he had 0 free throws. This is the first time since 2018 that Joel Embiid played a regular season game without getting to the free throw line. So he wasn't looking to be aggressive or active. But either way, players like McCain, their rookie, was huge. And then Paul George was playing really well. And they have some good pieces that they added, like Kelly Oubre, Drummond, and a few other guys. Like they got Eric Gordon as well. So they were looking really good until the Miami Heat finally woke up and finally embodied the slogan across their chest with their new bright red jerseys that said Heat culture. So the Miami Heat finally were able to, again, wake up, and they were coming out swinging in the second half. They outscored these Sixers 62-35 in the second half, which ultimately led them to this much needed victory, like I mentioned. So Jimmy Butler, first game back after coming back from a mild ankle injury, he was sensational. He led the team with a season high 30 points, and he was active from the beginning, which he hasn't been usually in first quarters. He's been super passive. He had 6 or 7 points in the first few minutes, which was huge. Usually Tyler Hero is the one who carries the Miami Heat in the first quarter, but Jimmy Butler last night was active, engaged, and was ready to play some basketball after having a week off. And he showed why he's still the leader of this team, why he's still the best player on this team. I don't care what anybody says. I know that fans want to trade Jimmy Butler, and he has looked, okay in some games. He's looked really good in other games, but Jimmy is looking good in the last 5 or 6 games. Yes, he's had a few games where he had 15 or 16 points, but overall in the last 6 games, he's averaging 22 points, like 6 rebounds, 5 assists. So Jimmy was there when we needed him, whether it was a clutch bucket or getting to the free throw line. Like Jimmy had, I think, the same amount of free throws than the entire 76ers team, which is ridiculous. So when Jimmy's getting to the line, when Jimmy's aggressive early on in the game, then he's locked in. And that's the type of leadership that we need from Jimmy. But here's the thing, Jimmy, you need to do this every game. You can't just do this once, take a week off, and then do it again. Like, we need you active, aggressive, and we need you to be dynamic, and we need you to get to the free throw line and lead this team. Jimmy did have some help last night, obviously, but not a ton. So Terry Rozier was out, and that was kind of interesting to see after he's been struggling, and a lot of fans have been asking, why is he in the starting lineup? They should bench him. He mysteriously has a foot injury. He said he's been bothering him for a while, but he was out. And then Jaime Hawk has twisted his ankle. Looks like he's going to be out for a little while. So that opened the door for players like Duncan Robinson to get inserted to the starting lineup. And then we saw Alec Burks finally play after 5 straight DNPs. We saw Pele Larson get some minutes, but most of those minutes went to Burks and then Drew Smith. So Burks and Drew Smith, huge off the bench, helping reignite this Miami Heat team and help come back against that 19-point lead. But yeah, the familiar guys were struggling. Bam Adebayo, great defensively. Offensively struggled. 5 points, only 2 for 8. But he did have 13 rebounds. He did have 3 assists. He did have 2 steals. He had 1 block. He was good defensively, so you can't complain about that. Tyler Hero, very slow start with Jimmy back in the lineup. Only 2 points in the first half while the Heat were down 19. But that third quarter, he erupted for 16 points, showcasing his continued growth as a scorer. It's a 4-quarter game, so even if he didn't start off hot like he has been, he was able to have a really good third quarter. He didn't score in the fourth quarter, but still 18 points for Tyler Hero, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 for 15 from the field, not his best shooting night, 2 for 10 from 3, not great. 4 for 4 from the free throw line, which is good. So yeah, it was basically Tyler and Jimmy leading the way. Duncan Robinson started off really slow, but then in that second half, he drained some critical threes to help the Miami Heat not only come back, but also seal the win. He had 13 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 for 14 from the field, not great, but 2 for 10 from 3, not great. But 2 of those threes were big in the second half. So he played great. Kudos to him. Defensively, like I mentioned, Bam played really well. Highsmith played really well in that second half with that point of attack defense. He played 32 minutes. He had 9 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 3 for 5 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3, which was huge. He had 1 block. But yeah, Eric Spoelstra made some adjustments in that second half that were on point, and the team's energy on the defensive side of the floor was next level. Philly had no answer for the Miami Heat switching and their intensity on ball. So defense was huge for the Miami Heat in that second half. This win helps the Miami Heat big time because it gives them the much needed momentum. They don't play for 5 days, which is kind of crazy. So the Miami Heat don't play until Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks. And so that's going to be an important game for the Miami Heat. And they need to get back in the winning column. And let me check the East real quick, standings wise. So the Heat are still in 6th. They're 6 and 7. Magic somehow are still 3rd with Paolo out, which is kind of crazy. They're 9 and 6. So the Heat are only a game and a half or so from 3rd place. Right now, Cavaliers unbelievably still 15 and 0, off to a historic start. Celtics are looking good too, 11 and 3. But then after that, again, you got the Magic at 9 and 6, Knicks at 8 and 6, Hawks at number 5 at 7 and 8, and then you have the Heat at 6 and 7. So very tight race early on in the regular season for the Eastern Conference. And I think the Miami Heat can be okay. They just need to step up. And we need to have a good game where we finally have Tyler having a good game, Bam having a good game, and Jimmy having a good game. And then maybe Terry if he comes in, and we'll see what his role looks like when he comes back in. But we've never had a game where 3 or 4 of them have done well. It's always 1 or 2, basically. And that's been the reason why we have 7 losses, or part of the reasons why. But anyway, that's all I have for today's video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.